Hi, my name is Darisse. I spent 7 years in the Army as a Kiowa Warrior helicopter pilot, Scouts Out, and an officer. The reason I'm making this tape right now is I really want to raise awareness for all the soldiers that come back from Iraq and Afghanistan and anywhere else we're deployed and see combat action. I want you to know that no soldier comes back without some change to them. You don't come back the same person, no matter what job you had, no matter what kind of action you saw. We all change, and I think we all have some issues that we need to address. So I want to tell my story, and in hopes that you'll think about all the other soldiers out there that might experience the same thing. My time in Iraq, I spent from 2005 to 2006. I lived with Koreans up in the Kurdish sector of the country. So I was in a relatively stable, quiet part of the country. The Koreans were there doing a peace and reconstruction mission to the Kurdish people. So they were building hospitals and schools mostly all around Kurdistan. And my job was to make sure, first of all, that they got along with the Kurds and, they had a good working relationship, which was very challenging at times. Also that the Koreans were building the hospitals and schools in areas that were well covered. So not only in urban areas, but also in rural areas. And it was a great job. It was quiet. I had 11 soldiers that I was responsible for, mostly for getting American food in there because we were eating kimchi and fish heads for several months. And, no offense to the Koreans, but it's just not the Americans' taste. We like hamburgers and we like ice cream. So I didn't really see a lot of, action. I did have a couple of experiences though. I traveled a lot in my job, a lot to Mosul, and I was involved in an IED attack when we were coming from Mosul back to Erbil. Nobody was hurt, unfortunately, but you can imagine it was really scary. And of course, whenever you go to Mosul, you're going to get mortared and rocketed, and some of them got pretty darn close to where I was. I lived in pain the entire time that I was deployed. My lower back was hurting, mostly due to the vibrations in the aircraft that I was flying, as well as the inadequate seating. I mean, you're sitting on mesh and wire, and the helicopter's going like this all the time. So eventually, all of us will develop back and neck problems. Well, I developed back problems pretty quickly, and I didn't want to leave Iraq, and I knew I'd probably have to leave Iraq because of my back. So I sucked it up. I didn't tell anybody, and I sucked it up for a whole year. I had back pain like somebody was stabbing me with a knife, and I had leg pain that was a burning, shooting pain all the way down my leg. Like somebody stabbed me in the hip, and that pain just all the way down. I lived with that for an entire year. And when I came home, I expected, okay, I'm going to get Western medical treatment. This is going to be great. I sucked it up. I should get an award for that, and I should get the best medical care in the world. Instead, I saw an Army medical system that told me, pain is part of life, suck it up. I'd already sucked it up. When is somebody going to help me? And I found that to be true, not only just in the physical problems I had, but also in the psychological problems that I had. Some PTSD symptoms kind of came out late, but I had no help for that as well. I'm not here to bash the Army because I loved the Army. I got so much out of it. I got my education out of it. I got an MBA out of it. I learned how to be a leader. I learned about camaraderie and discipline, and I wouldn't change the experience for anything, but our medical needs to change quite a bit all across the Army. Eventually, I got out of the Army in search of a better medical system, and from my back, I've really suffered in pain ever since that time in Iraq. I've had 4 different surgeries on my back to fix it. I've had pain management injections in my spine, epidurals, facets, SI joint, nerve ablations, all kinds of stuff. Eventually, I got my spine is fused at L5S1, and I found a spinal cord stimulator that works for me really well. But it took 3 years to get, the treatment that I really needed. This device is a miracle to me. Actually, it was such a miracle that when I got my first one, I went out and did everything I shouldn't have done with this device. I fell off my mountain bike. I went whitewater rafting where I'm paddling really hard. I started to train for a half Ironman triathlon, and I broke it. I actually broke a paddle lead, which never happens. I was the first one to do it for the Boston Scientific Precision Plus spinal cord stimulator. But it was a low point for me because I had to realize I wasn't Captain Smith, helicopter pilot, triathlete anymore. I needed to create a whole new identity for myself. And I said, no way, I don't want to do it. So instead, I swallowed lots of pills, lots of Oxycontin and Vicodin and all kinds of opiates, and I just hid all the negative emotions I was having. PTSD symptoms started to creep up, and I hid them with pills. Depression, thoughts of suicide, plans for suicide, very close to ending my own life, and I just, used pills against it. Addiction is another problem that we don't want to talk about, but it happens in soldiers, even if they haven't deployed, but especially there's a high risk after they deployed of addiction of alcohol or other drugs. I got help. I finally realized on my own that I needed help, but not everybody's going to do that. Soldiers, Marines, airmen, if you think you have a problem, you just step yourself into any AA, NA meeting, and they'll take care of the rest. Trust me, you don't have to know anything, you don't have to say anything, just go and raise your hand and say, I want to know more, and you're going to be taken care of. If you're watching this video wondering how you can help, there's tons of veterans organizations out there that are great for us. Disabled American Veterans, Wounded Warrior Project, American Legion, VFW, and many, many more that know of all the issues soldiers have when they come home. I got help. Unfortunately, it took me 3-4 years to get the help I needed. But let's intervene sooner, and let's make sure our soldiers are taken care of. So thanks for watching, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day. I'm picking up my 60-day clean and serene chip today, so I'm very happy. But God bless for 2010. Let's take care of those soldiers, Marines, and airmen. Thanks.